This feature here is one of my favorites, and it's one of the features you can't unfortunately turn off. Long identifiers. And when you upgrade to 12.2, 18, 19, 21 from a release below 12.2, and you check the upgrade logs, you will find out that there are a lot of dictionary changes, more than in previous releases. And a lot of these dictionary changes are credited to the long identifiers. And cautious. No offense to developers, but be careful when you tell developers about that feature, and you'll see in a second why. First of all, it's the standard since 12.201, and you can't turn it off. As soon as compatible is 12.2.0 or higher, long identifiers are enabled. So you can't turn it off, it's there. And now everything can be named up to 128 byte. I remember when I started in Oracle, I think my second or third service request I had 24 years ago was, can I name a table with like 50 byte as I could name it in another database, not in Oracle? And the answer was pretty clear. No, you can't. Who needs such long names? Yeah, somebody needs such long names. So the exception now, and there are very few exceptions, and I think you can deal with that. The database name is still 8 byte or less. 30 byte or less is the restriction for table space name, disk group name, PDB names. And does anybody have rollback segments? Rollback segments. Okay, but I think you can deal with the rollback segments. That's not an issue. What can I do? I can create tables with fantastic long names. Like my new table gets now an extra long name because I can. And of course, I can do the same thing to columns. It works with columns for sure. And with extended if you need to. And believe me, this feature will be used as soon as possible. Why am I pointing this out? Because I remember when I gave a customer workshop and we explained this in the workshop, after a lunch break, one of the DBAs said, Mike, you have to look at this. They didn't know this before. It was very early in the 12.201 stage, and they had test installations. And it took less than half an hour until a developer already started creating columns with longer names or objects, procedures with longer names. It was already there. And so be aware, as soon as you tell people this will be used, it's a cool feature, but a few things need to be considered. And the things need to be considered, I can just repeat myself here. You can't turn it off. So exchanging data now with lower versions could be really causing trouble. So when you use data pump, for instance, and regardless if you do it with or without version, it just depends on which side you see the error. So here in that case, I export from a database that supports long identifiers to a version that does not support long identifiers. In this case, I set the version parameter. So for instance, I wanted to transfer data from a 19.0 database to a 11.2 database. So I said version equals 11.2 or 11.204 in that case. And then it warns me and says, hey, I cannot export the table data from this table here in the system user because, or this was a 12.1 export, long identifiers are not there. If I wouldn't have used the version parameter and just imported freehand into 11.2 or 12.1, I would have seen the error then during import. The same issue is more likely to happen when you exchange now data with database links between different databases. And some of your databases are older. From the SQLnet perspective, you have no problem, but now you have to be really careful. So this is the pitfall, but overall cool feature. It will be adopted as soon as you tell people, I guarantee